4, 3, 2, we're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8 a.m. like normal. The temperature outside is 50 degrees, and we have a high of 71 today. So, again, light jacket-ish weather. You probably won't need it by the end of the day. So, with that being said, traffic conditions are fair. It's not crowded by any stretch of the mind. So you're not going to have any real traffic issues going in. Golly, excuse me again. Going into Tulsa this morning. So your commute's going to be just fine, unless there's something going on way, way up the road, which there doesn't appear to be. But again, I can only see as far as the camera allows me to see. So, with that being said, there will be no morning show tomorrow. Chad and I have drill this upcoming weekend, so we will be heading out early tomorrow morning to get to our RSP weekend down in Oklahoma City. So, sorry for the inconvenience there, but usually Fridays, weekends tend to be slow news days anyway, so there's not going to be any real issues for you guys there. However, the downside with that being over the weekend is when the U.S. government, Congress, and the Senate tend to try to sneak past terrible legislation while nobody's paying attention, because that's what you do. You release bad news on the weekend, or you pass bad bills and bad laws
On the weekend when no one's paying attention.
because we're all out having fun, trying to enjoy life. So that's what happens. If they release it on Monday, they know everybody's going to be pissing and moaning about it all week. But if you do it on late Friday evening or, Saturday afternoon,
Nobody's paying attention.
Nobody's going to know. So that's how it is. So be advised, it's like never assume that it's just going to be a perfect weekend, because as much as I hate to say it, the government doesn't shut down on the weekends. They're still working on the weekends, despite the fact that, the typical advice is, never work. It's 9 to 5 government work, or earlier, typically. So they'll be out early and doing things. But again, with the amount of time that with the amount of money that these people make from insider trading and all that stuff, they don't need to worry about weekends. Their life is a weekend, because they go around, they shake hands, meet with people. Their life is a interesting swell of just political posturing. So that's how it is. So they will pass bad stuff on the weekends. So
Yep.
With that being said, we'll be gone doing our drill stuff. So no show tomorrow. Now, what we got in upcoming local news, I can't imagine that anything's changed. If you remember what we've talked about as far as the schedule goes this week, there can be no real changes. They added the Veterans of Foreign Wars breakfast.
I'll pull it up, but we'll see. I don't think anything has changed regarding local events, but I'll go ahead and got that pulled up right here. We'll start with Owassoisms first. All right, and let's go to calendar. And I've got Veterans of Foreign War on the 23rd from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Owasso Community Center. That's 103 South Cedar, Owasso, Oklahoma.
Yeah, 23rd Saturday.
Yep. And then I've got on the 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., the fundraiser for Studio C at Baja Jack's Burrito Shack. The grand opening party for Code Wiz Owasso. And that is, that'll be at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then Bunko for a Cause for Neighbors in Need. And that's at the Bailey Education Foundation. And then on the 30th, Pet Rescue Fundraiser at Baja Jack's Burrito Shack. Again, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the Easter egg hunts. The one at Renola Park. And then the other one will be on the 31st for Discovery Church.
Nice.
That's all I've got on that one. Checking the chamber right now, which I don't think they have much either, but I'm pulling it up regardless. And if today's Thursday, it's the ambassador meeting, and that's at 12 o'clock today at the, what's that building called? The Ascension St. John Owasso. Mm-hmm. And then grand opening Code Wiz. So that's it for this week. We're pretty much wrapped up on local events, other than, like I said, some of the sports stuff going on, which we're kind of going to skip today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't know what's going on sports-wise, that's kind of on you.
At this point, yeah. So, With that being said, in more national news, it's been. I mean, it hasn't been a super busy news week, but it's been a disappointing news week. Disappointing as in the government's getting too big and bloated, and we have too many corrupt people working in the government. So we'll start off with it was Bobulinski is the guy's name,
Tony
correct? Toby
Bobulinski.
Bobulinski had. He's a Biden associate. He came out and basically testified that the Bidens have committed perjury, testified that they've been lying quite a bit. And his testimony was pretty eye-opening, but also pretty hard to watch too. The guy was on the verge of tears a lot of the time he was speaking. So whether or not you believe him or not, I mean, I know a lot of people didn't think Kyle Rittenhouse's tears were genuine whenever he was on the stand giving his testimony about what happened.
Yep.
So it just depends. Again, like I mean, it's all politics. It doesn't matter if you are on the right. You're like, oh, this is obviously proof. You know, this is the smoking gun. And if you're on the left, you go, this is nothing worse than anything Trump's done. And that's the thing. Like what's amazing is how different people perceive the world from our political bubbles we live in. You know, this is why we need to get back to, in my opinion, we got to get back to God. You know, God has to be the foundation of it. God is Christianity is the foundational building block of the U.S. You have to understand this. Like Christianity is that foundational building block. If we all believe that there's a higher power watching over us and that we have to do good in order to get to heaven and be seen in the afterlife, then we can all live in a functioning society together. But if there are people who don't believe that, it's going to be very hard to trust what they say, because whenever you take that oath on the stand in court, it's like, you know, do you testify that you'll tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You know, it's like that means something to you if you are someone who believes. And if you aren't, you don't believe it. And again, like I said, it's like with the religion of Islam. You have Taqiyya or something like that. It's
Taqiyya, yeah.
Taqiyya.
Like
it's basically, if you are not in a position of power, you can lie. You're allowed to lie in order to survive in the religion of Islam. Christianity, there's the gray area where you're, you know, lying is viewed as a big no-no. So again, the way that we perceive the world, we have to, if more people, and again, obviously, even different religious sects view the world and view religious doctrine very differently. So even that is a tough sell for a lot of folks. However, if we all believe that if we disappoint the Lord that we're not going to get there, we can live in a civilized society together. If you don't, this is why the left is kind of, I know, and there's a lot of people on the left who are Democrats who basically say that they are religious and they're practicing Catholics or whatnot. But a lot of the stuff they say, do, and believe does not align with what we view is the will of the Lord. So, again, I'm kind of getting off subject here, but how we view certain issues it's amazing. Again, it's like you know, people on the right are going to view this as, hey, smoking gun, Joe Biden's lying, why don't we impeach him? And then people on the left go, again, this is Trump's worse. It doesn't matter. Biden's better. It's not a big deal. It's amazing how unbelievably different people's takes on situations are. And again, even when someone tells you the same story, two people who were at the exact same event, their perception of that event is very different. So this is it's wild. So however you feel about that particular situation, Tony Bobulinski came out and gave his testimony against the Bidens and said they have been committing perjury. Believe what you will about it. And with the level of corruptions I've seen in this particular administration, nothing surprises me anymore. And I said, I'm less concerned with Biden being in charge, and I'm more concerned with who are these people that are running the machines behind Biden, because Biden's definitely not in charge of anything. So, with that being said, we'll push on to a more interesting subject, I suppose. It's still sad. It's again, this is what happens when there are too many laws and they're too overly complicated. Basically, the foundational right in this country is personal property rights. If you have personal property rights, you live in a free country. If you don't have personal property rights are the foundation of how free your society is. Now, New York, I'm sure people you've seen this or heard this before, but there was a woman in New York whose mother passed away and they willed her a house. So she goes over there to go to the house that she was willed by her mom, and there's squatters living in it. People who don't have a lease, who don't have any right to be in the home. They're just homeless people living in a house, and they changed the locks to this woman's house. So she goes over there and scares off somebody and walks in because the door was left open, legally entered the home, and then got in a tussle with, and I say tussle, she was just a get out of my house kind of shouting match. And there were cameras there. You can actually watch this woman's plight play out on TV, on a news channel. And they arrest her for what she did, because she went there and the people left, and then a guy who had been staying there the longest or was the most aggressive one came back, and he was like, I live here. And, they were like, the police officer was like, can you prove that you live here? And he had no way to prove that he lived there. And eventually he came back with like a landscaping document, said, I did work here and they haven't paid me for the work. And it's obviously it could be fake. Obviously it could be forged, but there's no lease agreement. There's nothing that proves that he lives there. And the guy changed the locks on this house. And again, this woman had a locksmith come to change the locks on the house. So she had the locksmith change the locks on the house so she could get back in. Guess what? They arrested her for that. They arrested her for changing the locks on her own house so she could keep these homeless squatters out. People, if you can't kick squatters out of your own home, what rights do you have in this country? If you don't have the right to kick somebody off your property, what rights do you have in this country?
That just comes to the whole fact of illegal immigration. I mean, it's no different than the illegal immigration issue or the criminal alien issue. If you can just walk over to America and say you're American, being American is meaningless.
It doesn't mean anything. You're not part of our country. You're just here taking part of the benefits of our country. You're taking part of the tax breaks and the tax benefits. They're not even tax benefits. They're not even paying taxes yet. They're just benefiting off the welfare state. True. Our taxes are paying to give migrants $10,000 gift cards and cell phones when they come across the border. So they can be like, well, don't forget, in 3 years, whenever you have your mandatory meeting or hearing, you show up, so here's your phone. Is that phone still going to be working in 2 years? Is it the Obama phone initiative thing? All that crap? Like, what are we doing? And most of them never show up. They're just disappear into the United States, and when they're never heard from again. Same with all these marijuana groweries that all these Chinese people are running here. That Louder with Crowder video we shared and tried to put out and encouraged everyone to watch. There are 2,000 growing facilities here in the state of Oklahoma, and the majority of them are run by Chinese. They're sneaking illegal Chinese immigrants across the border to work on these plantations, and they're starting illegal brothels and prostitution is already illegal, but they're bringing in sex traffic victims like females from Asian countries to work these brothels and then keep these guys on these growing facilities happy. So again, going back to the squatter issue. So they arrested this woman for changing the locks on her own home, house that had been in her family for years, and they arrested her, and the squatter's still in the house. Now you're like, oh, this is New York. Guys, look. What is it? Possession is 90% of the law, right, Chad?
Yeah, something like that. 9/10 of the law.
9/10 of the law.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have heard a good lawyer friend of mine, or just a good lawyer in general, he was like, no, possession is not 9/10 of the law. A good lawyer is 9/10 of the law. So if you have a good lawyer, he can argue against that. But again, you have to get a good lawyer. And there has to be legal precedent set. So if you don't own your own property, if you don't own your own houses, if you don't have personal property rights, you can't kick somebody off for being on your home, for trying to take stuff from you. You don't have rights in this country. And the fact that this woman was arrested for changing the locks on her own home so she could keep these vagrants, these squatters out of her home. And just think, if she had forged documents and made up things, oh no, my daughter has the lease on this home. She could have done a million things, but she was doing things the right way. And because she did things the right way, she got arrested for it. Now, there is a bit of green light, but it's not exactly a good thing either. But I'm guessing this little story of hers got blown up quite a bit in the media, obviously, because it was she was. I mean, literally, there's footage of her being arrested on the news.
I've got it playing up on the screen
perfect.
right now.
So, I guess the next day, people who would watch that, I don't know if it was neighbors, people who knew her, or just Good Samaritans, and I say Good Samaritans with a grain of salt there, because some random Samaritans went over and had a little chat with these squatters, and we'll just put it this way: they're not there anymore. Now, it might be a feel-good story for this woman who's in jail right now, and feel-good story for those of us who believe in personal responsibility and respect and rule of law. But again, this is vigilante justice, essentially. You know, but if the government and the law and the police aren't going to stand up for you, they're going to arrest you, then you kind of have to do this stuff yourself. I mean, this is...
Well, how many times have we encountered something like this just being in the insurance business? Mm-hmm. It's illegal to drive without insurance, but I've never heard of a person being arrested for driving without insurance.
Yeah.
Ever.
Look, the police are very laissez-faire about this. Like, I've had multiple people call in and go, hey, I got hit by an uninsured motorist, but the police didn't do anything about it. It's like, yeah, because they know they're not going to make any money off of it. The government only wants to go after people who they can guarantee making money off of. Yep. If you're bankrupt and you're struggling to pay your bills, why is the police officer going to run you off to jail?
Well, it's the same thing with the I was watching Adam Carolla's show a while. This was probably a few years back, but he was talking about the food truck situation on the LA streets. Well, it's super hard to get, all the licenses for getting a food truck, and then also getting the permission, to get wherever location that you're at.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the police will go up and find people, like, a lot, if they find out that there's any type of small detail
or discrepancy
in your licensing or your area location or whatever. But there's all these
your truck's parked 2.5 inches off the curb where you're a little too far out in the street. Here's a ticket.
Exactly. But the illegal migrants that are working,
they set up orange stands made of wood,
and they don't do anything because they know that they're not getting any money.
One, they don't speak English. Two, there's no benefit for the state. And the police don't want to do that paperwork and take in a person who doesn't understand English. It's too much of a hassle. But it's not too much of a hassle to come after you, the taxpayer. This is why we live in a two-tier justice society system, especially when it comes to illegal immigrants, because nobody's going to bother the illegal immigrants because they're already here illegally. They already broke a law. They don't speak the language. It's hard to deal with them. But guess what? You, the hardworking tax-paying American, you set up your food truck, or your kid sets up a lemonade stand. They go, hey, you have a permit for that lemonade stand? I didn't know I had to. The illegal immigrant down the road doesn't have to. We're not talking about them. This is about you. You're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm. You should know better. You're a citizen.
Look, and I understand that not all cops do this, but like I said, it's the slippery slope. Again, the police aren't going to go after people who are breaking the laws illegally when they're illegal immigrants. They're going to go after the citizen, the taxpayer, somebody they know they can get money out of. Because what are you going to do if you get the illegal immigrant? You're going to put them in jail, and then guess what? They get 3 square meals a day and a roof over their head. And we're just paying to feed them and house them until they toss them out.
Correct.
It's a tough situation, folks. But again, vigilante justice is coming. because what else can you do? The police are going to arrest you for trying to enforce your private property rights.
Well, getting back to it, that's exactly what's going on in Haiti right now.
Yeah.
So the law was not working in the people's favor, so the people took the law into their own hand.
Mm-hmm.
So now justice has turned into what we can get.
Yeah.
And that's how gangs operate.
Yeah.
This territory is run by us. We are the law here.
Yeah. So, look, everyone, it's pretty crazy that a group of people went in and did this for a woman they probably don't even know. I mean, it's kind of cool when you think about it, but it's also setting dangerous precedent in the future because, like, remember, the laws are supposed to protect you, the United States taxpayer, the citizen, the voter.
That's the other thing, too, is what people don't realize is the Constitution was designed to protect the citizen from the government, not the government from the citizen.
Right, right. And I get it. There's a lot of people who are I'll steel man the other side's arm going like the picture you have, eviction is violence,
Yeah.
So I get it. People don't want to be evicted wrongfully, but I don't imagine people get wrongfully evicted. If the homeowner goes in and they look at their property and go, "Oh my God, you've destroyed my house. I need to evict you. Like, you've destroyed my property." What's wrong with that? And if the homeowner goes, "I need to raise the monthly rent on this landlord property that I have, so your rent's going up. I can't afford that." I mean, life's tough. In California, one of my buddies' mom, she owns a crap ton of rental properties, and she's not allowed to evict people in California. She's not allowed to raise prices on people. So some people have been paying the same price in these homes that they've been living in since like the 80s because she's not legally allowed to change the price.
Despite the fact that the cost of living has gone up.
Yeah, inflation has it devalued the dollar.
So if you're paying
80s prices,
if you're paying $500 for an apartment that's to keep maintenance and upkeep is now like $800 to $1,000.
More like $1,500. Like, I mean, in California, you're like $2,800 a month on a single bedroom apartment.
Yeah, so we're talking someone's really getting screwed over.
Yeah, it's the property owner, the landlord. And you have all these people going, "You can't be like all these communist types being like, you can't be a landlord. Landowners are the devil."
Yep, it's true.
Again, but like I said, this is what's so crazy about people who are godless in our society. It's like anybody can be the devil if they disagree with you. Yeah. Anybody can be evil if they disagree with you. And it's like, no, you need to know what real evil looks like. But no. Landlord, people who are trying to make money, and again, I don't know if any of you have been property owners, but let me tell you this: as someone who works in the insurance industry, people who have a bunch of landlord properties, it is not as profitable of a business as you think it is. It's the profit margins are very slight, and the vast majority of the money you make will end up being redumped back into the house to maintain the property.
Yep, and that's what nobody realizes.
I
can't tell you how many landlord properties that we've literally.
Yeah, because people I can't afford it in this economy. Anymore. I sold all the house. Like, literally, I had a woman who had like 7 properties. She sold all of them except for her main house because she goes, "I just can't afford the upkeep on them." Yeah, no kidding. Especially when the cost of lumber went up 100%. Yeah, this conversation went in a direction I really wasn't expecting it to go. We kind of are all over the place. But again, squatters, possession, 9/10 of the law.
That's a law.
You own the property. Yes, it is. And I think the people in power, or the powers that be, need to reevaluate these laws that are on the books, because if stuff like this keeps happening, you're going to have vigilante people going in and taking care of business. There's already Reddit subposts of guys who go, "Yeah, if you have a squatter problem, I am a professional squatter, get rid of her," and he just is a squatter that goes in and craps next to these people while they're sleeping and throws stink bombs, doesn't shower. He eats horrible food, so he gets real gassy, eats Taco Bell every day, gets severe diarrhea, and literally just craps on the floor next to the people while they're sleeping. Like, he makes the living. But again, that's like a mafia job, though. He's like, "Hey, you got a squatter problem? Let me squat there with them and I'll get rid of them for you. And you just got to pay me the cost of living there.
Fighting fire with fire.
Yeah, fighting squatters with diarrhea.
Yeah, really.
But that's what you're looking at. And again, you'll get people like that who are going to turn a profit off of this. Like I said, this guy's made a successful business off of getting rid of squatters because it's funny. However, you're also going to get situations like this where you're going to get a group of guys who are just going to go in and go, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And then whether or not it leads to violence or not, I would imagine more so it's going to lead to violence because what is the government? What is anything? What are laws? How are rights and laws enforced with the threat of violence? Like, if there's no threat of violence, nothing can ever be enforced. It's like it's the reason you spank and discipline your kids. It's like, hey, don't do that. It's like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm not going to hit you. Well, you're going to put you in timeout. It's like, no, the threat of violence is always there. So, interesting times we live in. The fact that laws are being weaponized against homeowners and property owners. And there are communists just celebrating this, celebrating the fact that this woman is being arrested. Like, oh, this is great. We need any empty properties should be given to the homeless. Any rental properties or any vacant spaces should be given to homeless people. It's like, and then watch those properties devolve into crap.
Yep. It's insane. The laws seem to be fighting
against
the citizens more often now than it does non-citizens, which is insane. And there's only one political party that's really for that, and I don't think anyone could argue differently.
Yeah. Well, that's about all we've got for you today, folks. I know we were all over the place on that second squatter issue. I couldn't even stay. We were moving the point around a whole lot, but that's the truth. That's the cold hard truth of what's going on in our society.
A little bit of good news. We'll end on a little higher note.
Oh yeah.
OKC Thunder ended up beating the Jazz last night.
Awesome.
It was 119-7. So we are still the top team in our
119 to
conference.
107.
Yep, 107. The Jazz got 107 points. We got 119. So we are still the top in our conference. So we're doing good. OKC's looking really good this year.
Good deal. This might be the year, everybody.
It's our year. They're like the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. So OKC Thunder's our Dallas Cowboys.
It's our year.
It's our year.
Oh, my gosh. But, yeah. So, anyway, that's all we've got for you today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was The Morning Loop. Remember to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. God bless y'all. Have a wonderful day.
See you later, everyone.